नमस्कार बच्चों, welcome to the virtual class. In the last class, we have studied a third unit from macroeconomics, that is the determination of income and employment. And in this unit, we have seen the concept AD, that is the aggregate demand. And along with the aggregate demand, we have seen the components of aggregate demand. When we studied that components, we have seen that the components are being studied in terms of three sectoral economy model, where the AD is being found in closed economy in two sector, and the AD's value has been found in four sectoral economy model in the open economy. Thereafter, we have done some sums on finding the value of AD. After that, we have seen the value of कंजप्शन फंक्शन. बच्चों, जैसे हम पिछले क्लास में समग्र मांग के साथ साथ उसके घटक और फिर उपभोग फलन के बारे में हमने देखा, और आज इस क्लास में हम इसे आगे बढ़ाते हुए हम बचत फलन के बारे में, दैट इज द सेविंग फंक्शन. स्टूडेंट्स, टुडे आई विल बी टेकिंग द concept of aggregate supply, that is called as AS, and its component. And after studying the aggregate supply, and in that we will be studying the S function, that is the saving function. So as when we complete the saving function all together with the consumption function and the saving function, we will study its relation. And in that one, we will try to cover the concept of propensity to consume and the propensity to save. Okay, now we'll see what we mean by AS, that is aggregate supply, जिसे हम समग्र पूर्ति कहते हैं. It refers to the level of output in the economy what the producer intend to supply in goods and services during an accounting year or a specific period of time. Now we will look at the component. As you've seen in the component of AD, that the value of C and I we have seen in the AD. As like that, here also the AS is also having a component of C and S. That means the Y is equal to C plus S. We know that Y is the value of income. So whatever the income we have earned, the value of income, that is Y, is further divided into two components, that is C and S. Here C stands for consumption expenditure and the S stands for saving. So that income which are being earned, the complete income is not being consumed as a consumption expenditure. Here some part of the income is being saved, that is the value of S. So here along with the C we will find the S. Students, look at the formula for finding out the AS value, that is AS is equal to C plus S. बच्चों, अब हम बचत फलन के बारे में देखेंगे. बचत फलन क्या होता है? What do you mean by S function? S function is the functional relationship between the Y and S. That means the income which is being earned is being consumed in the form of C and S. That means whatever the income are being earned in the economy, they are not completely consumed as a consumption expenditure, as some part of the income is being saved, that is being called as saving. So here in saving function, it will denote the relation between the S in terms of Y. The formula Y is equal to C plus S indicates that the income which is earned, it is not completely consumed. The some part is being saved. Previously, as we have seen that C is related with Y, and similarly here also in saving function S is also related with Y. The value of S can be derived from the value of C. So when we are studying about the saving function, by finding the value of S, that can be very easily derived from the consumption function. That means the S value can be derived from C value out of the income. So that means what? The income which is being earned, that is being further classified, further divided into C plus S. So that can be understood with the help of the schedule given here. So students, look at the schedule. First we will look at the C function schedule, where after finding the value of Y and C, we can very easily derive the value of S. So look at the table. Here in C function table, we have the value of Y and C. The value of Y starts from 0 to 50 to 100 and then to 150. And on the other side, the value of C is given. That is, starts from 20, 60, 100 and 140. Now again we have one more schedule that shows the functional relationship between the S and Y. That is we call as saving function. Here we have the value of Y as already shown in the C function table, the same values, that is 0, 50, 100 and 150. And now look at the value of S. How the value of S is being derived. जैसे मैंने पहले बताया आपको, I के मान को C और S को जोड़कर निकाला जा सकता है. हम इसे ज्ञात कर सकते हैं आसानी से. अब जब Y इक्वल टू C प्लस S है, इस फॉर्मूला से हम S की मान निकाल सकेंगे. तो S की मान कैसे ज्ञात किया जाएगा? S इज इक्वल टू Y माइनस C. That is what I told you, that with the help of C value, that is the C function, we can derive the value of S. So here S is being calculated by subtracting the value of C from Y. So the first value, when Y is 0, we have the S value as minus 20, that is 0 minus 20. 0 is what? The value of Y, and 20 is the consumption value, that is being called as what? Autonomous consumption. So we know that autonomous consumption is the value where the value of Y is 0, but at that condition the value of C will not be 0. At the same time, when we are having a value of a positive value of 20 in 0 income, at that time the savings value will be negative. So here we have the first value at the level of income 0, S is equal to minus 20. Moving forward, when the income increases from 0 to 50, we get the value of S as minus 10. And again it increases to 0, as here we can see that the consumption and the saving both are equal, that is 100. So at that time we have the saving value as 0. So this shows that whatever the income which is being earned, they are being consumed as a consumption expenditure. And at last, when the income increases to 100 to 150, we get the positive value, that is S value is positive here. We get the value of 10 by subtracting 150 by 140. Students, after looking at the C function schedule and the S function schedule, now we will try to plot the S function schedule in a diagrammatic mode. We can draw a curve, the S line curve. Look at the S line curve. What the observations it says when it is being plotted in a graph. In this diagram, saving is being shown in the y-axis and income on x-axis. A line S represents saving function, indicating the behavior of S with respect to Y. So from here we can look at some observations. Look at the diagram carefully. First one, the line S, that is the curve S, starts from minus 20 on y-axis. It indicates the value of S when Y is equal to 0, and this minus 20 is being called as autonomous saving. Here the value of S is minus 20 because C is equal to 20. when y is equal to 0. Then S line is positively sloped moving upward from left to right. It indicates that S is positively related to y. Higher y causes higher S. That means as the income goes on increasing in a higher rate, the saving will also get increases in the higher rate. Then S line crosses the x-axis when y is equal to 100. It indicates that S is equal to 0 when y is equal to 100. That means here we have the value of C as 100. When y and C are equal, the value of S is 0. So that S is negative when y is less than 100 and S is positive when y is more than 100. And at last, the S line is a straight line. It points to constant slope. It indicates that S function is a linear function. So students, the S curve can also be explained as a slope of S line. The slope which indicates the relation between the S and Y, we can see that the changes happening in the income brings changes in the saving. So when we find out the ratio between the changes happened in the saving and the changes took place in the Y, that is income, that ratio can be calculated with the help of S line. So S line, the slope of S line can also be called as MPS, that is marginal propensity to save. In the previous class, we have read about the MPC, that is marginal propensity to consume, where we have seen that as the income gets increases, along with that the consumption also increases and gets changes. At the same way, here also the slope of S line shows that how the change in the income brings up a change in the saving. That can be calculated with the help of a concept called MPS, that is marginal propensity to save. That is, the formula is delta S by delta Y. Students, along with this MPC's formula, that is delta S by delta Y, we can calculate the value of MPS with the formula given here. Here we can get the value of MPS by getting the value of 1 minus MPC. That shows that MPS is equal to 1 minus MPC. Taking this together, we can write the equation as MPC and the MPS, they combinedly gives the value of 1. Here, to get the value of MPS, as I told you, the equation MPS plus MPC gives the value of 1. So when we are adding up the MPC and MPS, it gives the value of 1. So MPS can be calculated by the formula 1 minus MPC. Why? Because the ratio of changes between the MPS and MPC, that is the value of delta C by delta Y plus delta S by delta Y gives the value of delta Y by delta Y, because here the value of Y is equal to C plus S and the value of delta Y is equal to delta C plus delta Y. We can calculate the value of MPS by subtracting MPC from 1. Bacho, now we will find out the value of S function in a algebraic representation. In an algebraic formula, we can denote S is equal to minus C bar plus 1 minus B into Y. So here minus C bar, when I am telling you that minus C bar, that is the value of S, because C bar is the value of autonomous consumption, that is the value of C when y is equal to 0. So here the S can be found by adding up the saving, that is the minus C bar with the MPS. So here we have written that 1 minus B. When you recall the previous formula for finding out the C function, that is C in the C function formula, where I have given that is C equal to C bar plus B into Y. Here the value of B stands for MPC, and what we are getting in the C function formula, that is the formula is S equal to minus C bar plus 1 minus B into Y. So there we have added the value of C, that is autonomous consumption with the MPC multiplied with income. But here the S can be calculated by adding the value of minus C bar, that is the value of autonomous saving, with the value of MPS multiplied by income, that is the value of Y. Look at the sum given here. Here we will find the value of S when Y is equal to 0 and C bar is equal to 20, and the value of MPC is 0.8. Now getting into the formula, where we can see that S is equal to minus C bar plus 1 minus B into Y. So here we can replace the value with the formula, where in place of minus C bar we can write value of 20, because 20 is the C bar value, and here S, when we are talking about the S, it is negative C bar. So we can write here minus 20 plus 1 minus 0.8, that is MPC. When we subtract 1 from MPC, it is the value of MPS. Then we will multiply the value of Y, that is 0. So here at last we get the value minus 20 plus 0.2 into 0 gives the value of minus 20. Okay students, after looking the schedule and the curve of C function and the S function, one more important thing which we need to learn, that is the derivation of S function from C function. That means how the S function can be derived from the C function value. As previously I have shown the schedule of C function and S function. With the help of the same schedule, both the schedule, we can derive the value of S function. Look at the diagram. With the help of this diagram, we can very easily understand how the S function is being derived from C function. In this diagram, two graphs have been plotted vertically, where the first diagram shows the C function, second the diagram B shows the S function. Here the C's function is being shown with the help of C line and Y line. C line, that is the consumption expenditure curve, Y line, it is the income curve. And in the S function curve, we have given the S line, that is the S curve, saving curve. And when we focus on this diagram, we can see that S line starts from the point which indicates the value of S bar, and the value of S bar is equal to the value of C bar, but with a negative sign. Thus S line starts from minus 20 because C line starts from plus 20. Second, S line crosses the x-axis when C is equal to Y, so that S is equal to 0. Thus S line crosses the x-axis when C is equal to Y, that is equal to 100, and therefore S is equal to 0, because here C and S both are equal, that is 100. So we get the value 0 as the S value. Thus the slope of S line is equal to 1 minus slope of C line, and while the slope of C line is equal to 0.8, that of S line is equal to 1 minus 0.8, that gives a value of 0.2. Here MPS is equal to 1 minus MPC, that is the marginal propensity to save is being derived by subtracting the value of marginal propensity to consume from Y. Now we will look at the propensity to consume and the propensity to save concept. The propensity to consume and the propensity to save is one of the basic element in C function and the S function. Here in propensity to consume, we calculate the proportion of increase in the consumption due to the increase in the income. The propensity to consume refers to the proportion of consumption expenditure due to the increase in the income. So the propensity shows at what amount of consumption expenditure have been consumed in respect to the income. As we know that when the income in the economy increases, the C is also having a positive relationship with the Y value. So the propensity will show how these proportions are being changed. So in this, while studying the propensity to consume, we can further divide this into a two concept, that is APC and MPC. The concept APC stands for average propensity to consume, जिसे हम औसत उपभोग की प्रवृत्ति कहते हैं, और MPC that stands for marginal propensity to consume, जिसे हम सीमांत उपभोग प्रवृत्ति कहते हैं. So here we will look at the concept of APC and MPC separately. So here the value of APC measures the ratio between the consumption expenditure and the income. The total income is being divided into the consumption expenditure and the income. So when we find out the ratio of consumption expenditure in respect to the Y value, that value is being called as what? APC. That is, APC is equal to C by Y. Now students, after seeing the value of APC, we can calculate the value of MPC. As I told you that propensity to consume is being divided into two parts, that is APC and MPC. So MPC stands for marginal propensity to consume. I think you could remind the previous class where by studying the C function and the slope of C, where the value of slope of C can be derived by dividing the value of delta C by delta Y. That means from there we can very easily understand that MPC, it is a value shows the ratio between the increase or change in consumption expenditure in respect to the increase or change in the total income. So we can say that the MPC shows the changes in the value in consumption expenditure and the income. So the formula for finding out the value of MPC is equal to delta C by delta Y. So delta C, that is change in C, delta Y, it is change in Y. After studying the concept of propensity to consume, we will move to the concept propensity to save. So the concept propensity to save shows the relation between the S and Y, that is the saving, the part of the income which is being earned as saving. Okay, now we can express the relation of Y and C as propensity to save in two different aspects. That is the value of APS and the value of MPS. APS stands for Average Propensity to Save, जिसे हम औसत बचत प्रवृत्ति कहते हैं, और MPC that is the Marginal Propensity to Save, सीमांत बचत प्रवृत्ति. Here, when we find the value of APS in respect to the total income, APS is equal to S by Y. The value of S, that is saving, is divided with the value of Y, income. After getting the value of APS, we will move to calculate the value of MPS, that is marginal propensity to save. So, marginal propensity to save is the ratio between the change in the saving and the change in the income. So, here we can calculate the value of MPS as the value of delta S divided by delta Y. So, the marginal propensity to save is equal to delta S by delta Y, that is change in saving divided by change in income. Okay students, that's all for today. Before ending this class, once again I want you to recall the concepts and the formulas which we seen today, which we studied today, that is starting from C function, S function, derivation of S function from C function, then the values of propensity to consume and propensity to save. Students, in the next class we will be doing the sums related to the concepts of propensity to save and propensity to consume. So I want you to by heart all these formulas, the formulas which we have derived and calculated today in propensity concept, where in propensity to consume we have seen two elements, that is APC and MPC. APC is equal to C by Y and the value of MPC is equal to delta C by delta Y. And again, while calculating the value of propensity to save, here also we have seen two aspects of propensity to save, that is APS and MPS. So APS can be calculated by dividing the value of S by Y, and MPS can be calculated by dividing the value of delta S by delta Y. I would like to give some home assignments so that you can try it yourself at home. And be ready with all this formula in the next class when we do the calculations. So thank you for today. Have a nice day.